What's going on, everyone? We're going to start in just a couple minutes. What's going on, everyone? Can everyone hear me okay? Am I loud enough? All good? Nice. Hope everybody's week is going good. Welcome to the live stream. Glad you could carve out a little time in your schedule to come check out the stuff we're doing. We're going to be doing Websockets today, and it's going to be we're going to do some Node.js, we're going to do some Python, some HTML, and then some JavaScript in the browser. So we're going to cover a lot of different languages and stuff today. So it'll be good. First is if you have any questions for me, throw them in the comments, right now. And I'm going to talk about UMKC for about 5 minutes, just to give you kind of an update on that, and then I'll take a few questions. So UMKC is coming along great. There's so much on there. The questions are going good. Piston is great. Piston, as you remember, is the engine that's running all that untrusted code. And I'm just about done with the very first challenge. And challenges, of course, there's a lot of infrastructure that goes into that. I had to do all the front end, of course, all the back end, database, and then taking Piston and hooking it up to the challenges. That way, people can run their code and they can see their output on there. And a lot goes into that. So getting the first challenge done on UMKC, of course, is a lot more challenging than getting the rest done. So you can expect to see more challenges as it comes. The first one will come out. I'm probably going to finish it this weekend. I know I said that last weekend, but had a hurricane go right by my house, so I was a little worried for the past week. So I haven't got much done. Other than that, EMKC, the power system's working, the scores are kind of working. I'm in the process of transferring all the resources over into there. EMKC has 172 members, so that's fantastic. Glad to see everybody's going into there. Oh, ghost dog. Okay, so I'm going to take some questions now. So I get this question a lot. What do you recommend for learning Python? So of course, you can start with the Engineer Man Python Basics series. That's a great way to get started with Python. Past that, you can check out, I like Code Academy. I think Code Academy is good to a point. And remember, if you're a brand new Python programmer, then really what you're looking for is you're looking to kind of get your appetite whet by different things. And whether you get that from my channel or you get that from Code Academy, the same thing results is you get a new kind of, I guess you get this desire to learn more. And when you get a desire to learn more, you're going to go out and you're going to seek that, that knowledge. So it doesn't matter where you get it, just go and learn the basics, and if you're really interested, then it's easy to find tutorials after that. What are some good resume building projects for a computer science student? The hardest thing, honestly, the hardest thing in programming is coming up with what you want to build. So I can't say any particular project is better than the rest. The only thing I can say is that when you do choose projects that you want to work on, especially those that you intend to put on a resume, go ahead and pick a project that you think is just way too hard for you. Get on there and pick a huge lofty goal. That way, because that's the only way you're going to learn is if you push the boundaries of what your knowledge already is. If you can already do Hello World, doing Hello World another 100 times is not very helpful. But if you continue to push those boundaries, then that's what's going to make you a great programmer. Why don't you try to stream on Twitch? I don't know, because I don't have any followers over there. I'd kind of be starting from zero. I could conduct my streams on Twitch, I suppose. I'll take that under advisement. But I think right now YouTube is probably the best platform at the moment, just because I can, of course, you all my audience. I want you to come and watch me, stream. So, and I'm able to kind of let you know, by way of a YouTube notification that I'm streaming. I wouldn't be able to do that on Twitch, so I don't know that I want to do that. How long have you been programming for? I've been programming since I was 9 years old. I'm 33 now, so that'd be 24 years. What are advantages of Django over Node? So that's not an ideal question, only because Node is a programming language, Django is a framework in Python, and they're both for different things. So you should use them both. Where do someone want to use WebSockets? Don't worry, we're going to cover WebSockets ad nauseum today. How are you? I'm doing fantastic. I hope everybody else out there is doing great too. What's your opinion on Java? I love answering this question just because if you've spent any time around me or spent any time on my Discord, you know that I'm not super fond of Java, but I don't always specify why. The reason is because back in the day, computers weren't that powerful, and you needed to use compiled code to squeeze as much performance you could out of the system. But these days, there's interpreted languages that are pretty fast, and so I start to question whether strongly typed, statically typed languages with a long development cycle. I start to question whether or not that's the benefit of getting things to run faster is actually even worth it anymore. I'm almost inclined to believe that getting the product done quick and getting your product to market is more important than that. But of course that's just my opinion. I think Java still has its place. It's not something I would ever use. Okay, we'll do one more question and then we're gonna jump into code. Thoughts on functional, what age? Trying to pick a good one here. What language, this is a good one, what language should you learn first? So I learned, the first main language I learned first was actually PHP. And I know some of you are thinking, oh, PHP, that's awful. Yeah, I know, it is awful. But the reason I bring up PHP is because PHP is a super easy language. And of course, when I started using PHP, I was only like 11 years old, 12 years old. And as a kid, I want to pick, I'm just going to use whatever I can do. I'm not that great at programming at that time, so I'm just choosing whatever I think I can do. And the problem with learning PHP first is PHP doesn't represent kind of the fundamentals of programming, because PHP mostly, Source CRX, I actually started with QBasic too, but I don't consider that like a real language, but that was actually my very first one. The reason I bring up PHP is it hides all the types, strings and integers, floats and things like that, so you miss out on the fundamentals of programming. So I think if you're picking a language, you may want to pick a statically typed language, perhaps a C, C++ or Java. And I'm not saying like use those for all your projects, but certainly you should check them out, because things like C, C++, and Java, ones that have types and things like that, those are going to better represent the fundamentals of programming. Okay, you ready to build? Let's build. Actually, first let's talk about what I'm building. Let me just set up my stuff here. Gone. Sweet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay. So you came for a WebSocket stream, so let's talk about what WebSockets are. And the reason I'm doing WebSockets is because there's a ton of interest in like Discord bots and how Discord works and all that. So I thought, one of the big things that Discord is built on is WebSockets, and it's important that people understand what that is. So WebSockets is nothing more than sockets on the web. And what that means is every platform, like in Linux, you can open up raw sockets. You can say, listen on port 1234, and then on another computer, you can connect to port 1234, and you can exchange messages. And that's socket that's the basics of socket communication. Socket it's raw TCP. There's no extra abstraction, and all you're doing is you're just passing bytes back and forth between your client and server, or client to client, or whatever. So that's sockets. That's available on Linux, Windows, Mac. That's available everywhere. So now we go to the browser, and when we get to the browser, we have no access to those raw sockets. You can't, and you can imagine why you don't, because if a browser could access raw sockets, that would imply that anybody creating a website for their users could program their website to access raw sockets on your computer. And you can imagine how just awful that would be from a security standpoint. People could write a program in a browser, you would open it, and it would start listening to different connections on your computer, or connecting to things that shouldn't, and that's just very, very bad. So the WebSocket protocol is, it's its own thing in JavaScript. It's part of browser JavaScript that lets you in an abstracted kind of way connect to a kind of raw socket, which we call WebSockets. And now the WebSocket server that lets people connect to it is kind of like a normal raw TCP socket, in that it waits for connections on a particular port and host, and then it does something, with that information. So let's do something here. So remember I said we're going to do Node.js and we're going to do Python. So what I'm going to basically do today is I'm going to create all the small pieces of Discord. I'm going to create a chat system, I'm going to create the server, and I'm going to create a bot. Now the server I'm going to do in Node.js, the bot I'm going to do in Python, and of course the front end I'm going to do in just HTML and JavaScript. So let's set up these three pieces. So I got my index.html. I'm also going to need a bot.py and a server.js. So on the server side, we're going to set up the WebSocket server. So const ws equals require ws, WS is just a library in Node.js that handles WebSockets. Python has the exact same thing. Also, by the way, I'm going to publish. Remember, I said I'm doing the server in Node.js, I'm doing the bot in Python. However, I'm going to publish also the bot in Node.js and the server in Python. So I'll publish, I'll publish both languages for this project, so you guys can check it out later. So for the server, remember, all the server does is it listens for connections, and it does something with those connections. So we're simply going to set up a server here, const server equals new ws.server. And then here I specify a host. I want to listen on, all IPs, and I'll specify a port. And the port I want to just be whatever, 3434. So this sets me up a server listening on all IPs, and it listens on port 3434. So here I need to first schedule an event, server.on. For the server, the event I need to listen on is a new connection. And when there's a new connection to my WebSocket server, I'm going to get a socket object back, and then from there I can do something with that socket. And there is something I want to do with that socket, is I want to subscribe to an event called message. And if you're watching this, and if you've ever written a Discord bot, this probably looks a lot like writing a bot. You're opening up a connection somewhere and you're waiting for a message. So in this case, socket.onMessage. So with the message, all I want to do now, remember, we're creating a chat room. We're creating a chat room like Discord, real time, and then we're also creating a bot that's going to listen to the messages in that chat room, and it's going to, take that message, and if the message is something specific, then it'll maybe reply in that chat. So right now I'm subscribing to an event on connection, I'm subscribing to a message on socket, and now all I'm going to do is server.client, loop over each client, and then client.send, and I'm going to send the message back. This is a really, really basic WebSocket server. And all this is going to do is it's going to take connections, and when messages come into the server, it's just going to broadcast them back out to everybody. And this is actually it. We're done with the server part. Easy, right? So now I'm just going to run that server. Of course, it's not going to work. Unexpected token talking about. Alright. So there we go. We got our server. Server's running. Of course, it's not doing anything because nothing's connecting to it. So the next step is to make the thing that's going to connect to it. So now we got to work up kind of our UI. So we have our index, make HTML, and head, and body, all kinds of stuff. I'm going to put jQuery in here just because I want to just save some time. So our body is going to be simple. We'll do 2 inputs. The first is going to be a, like a name of the person typing. And we'll put a placeholder. Well, we'll set that value to stranger. And we'll just make it, like 100 pixels wide. So we need a second input as well. That's going to be the message. And we'll make that probably 500. Of course, we don't want to burn anybody's retinas. So we'll make the background 333, which should be a nice gray. Is the text big enough? Can everybody see this? I can make it a little bigger. I'm not doing that wide of code. So let's check out our thing here. Nice. All right. Let me try to make that way bigger. All right, so we want stranger. This one doesn't need a default value. And all I need now is a button. Do like send message. So now we have our sweet UI. We get to put our name, we get to put a message, and now we can send that message. So what we're doing is we're creating a real-time chat client here. and we're doing so by creating a UI for it. So now it's time to actually connect to our WebSocket server. So there's a couple things we have to do for that. The first thing we do is we use the native JavaScript WebSocket API. So we'll simply create a socket, new WebSocket. And we specify, now notice it's a WS scheme, that's WebSocket scheme. There's also WebSocket Secure, WSS, which is basically WebSocket over SSL. And in this case, I'm just going to specify the IP that I know the server is running on, which is the same one that I put in server. You know, I'm doing port 3434. And that's it. That's going to establish a connection to the WebSocket server. And at this point, I can begin sending messages by creating an event on my button. You know, we'll create a new thing called send. And then we'll create a new function here called send. And then in there, it's pretty easy. We'll just do a test message. We'll just do socket.send, you know, test. Great. So you'll see now over here, I should be able to type something. Okay, so we got problems. It's not connecting for some reason. Let's see here. We can put some logs. What we can do is we can put a log here that says, you know, new connection. Restart our server. So you can see it's getting a new connection. So something's just wrong with my event. Doesn't want to send anything up. I'm doing the wrong IP. Let's see. I am listening on 3434. Yeah, we're good there. Actually, you know what? It actually probably is working. I'm just not outputting the message. Dumb. All right. I think it is actually working. I'm just not outputting the message. Yeah, that was stupid. Okay. So I'm putting my message in here, and it's putting test in there. So that shows you that it is, the connection is established to. Stop it. The connection is established to the WebSocket server, and that's really what I wanted. Just a second. Stop it. That's all I really wanted. And we're good there. So now, of course, the next logical step is to start sending the actual message that people type. So we'll just work up some logic for that. So rather than sending test, we'll do that in a second. We will take the name. Of course, name is the name from down there. Message is the message. What we want to do, instead of sending just a raw message, we're going to want to send some JSON, and that's because we're going to want to take the JSON from the back end and then do something with it. So rather than sending just name a message, we'll do JSON stringify. In here we'll do name is name, message is message, and then the other thing we need, I didn't do this yet, is I need to create some sort of ID. And that's going to be a way to identify people from one another. Basically, when I send a message and it rebroadcasts that message back out to everybody, it will, I don't want to take the message that I just sent and put it back into my chat. So I can use an ID, which will just be Unix epoch plus a dot plus some random whatever, and I can send that along with my request. Whoops, my bad. Okay, so now we're saying something a lot different, and so let's look at what we're sending now. I will log the message and see what it says. Oh, spelled that wrong. Stringify. So you can see I got a message here. Test message. So I got my ID, name, stranger, message, test message. So I got the message, and it is actually broadcasting it out to everybody. It's just I only have it in one spot. So now I want it in two spots. So next thing I got to do is subscribe to a new message on the socket in the browser. So when I send a message, it goes to the WebSocket server. WebSocket server is going to broadcast that back out to everybody. Because remember, WebSockets is bidirectional. So things can be sent to and received from at the same time. Connection never closes. So to get the message, you simply have to do socket.onMessage. To a function, pass message in here, which will give me the message of the thing coming back. And what I'll do now is I'll parse that message, because remember it's going to be JSON, so I'll parse this JSON. I need to check if the message equals the ID of the person that's currently on the screen, and if the ID matches the person that sent the message, then simply do nothing. Otherwise, I need to put the chat message in the chat. But before I do that, I need to actually make a place for the chat messages. So create a new div called chat. And I'll just make this white text. That way everybody can see it fine. So I got test there. So we're good. So messages get into the chat in one of two ways. Either when I send the message, I got to put the chat message that the person wrote right into the chats, but I also have to broadcast it out to everybody else. So one thing I want to do now is I want to break these up into two windows. Because remember, this is real time, so we can have two chats going on at once. So when I type something here, it shows up. When I type something here, it shows up. You can see I got two messages. The IDs are different. And these are the messages from each of those boxes. So two browsers sent messages to the same WebSocket server, and now I just need to take those back out and just broadcast them back out to the people that don't have the messages. Piece of cake, right? Now remember, the server's already done. We don't need anything additional on the server. It's good to go. just as it is. Everything we got to do now is on the front end. So I'm going to work up a couple things. When it gets a new message, I'm going to insert that into the chats. So I will prepend a div. And in that div, I'll do message.name plus, like a colon, message.message. And this is roughly the same as what I would put in the thing down here, is when somebody does a message here, but rather than message.name, I'll just do name, and rather than message.message, I'll just do message. And of course, just because I want to, give the person good UX, I'll do message.value and set it to nothing. So we should be pretty close here. Test. Nope, not quite. So we're almost there. So we got chats, prepend, div, name. What the problem is here? Probably have a bug somewhere. Yeah, I see an error in my log. One second. Okay. So I'm missing the parentheses somewhere. Line 14. Name, message. Okay, just need a plus right there. Now we're all set. So test, still nothing. Still missing something here. It's gonna be on the line right here. Okay, I don't see any errors. I think we're good. Test, send message, nice. Hello. Nice. So the only thing I gotta add now is it'd be really cool if when the person clicks enter, it just automatically puts it in there. So that's not super hard. What I'll do is I will just take the message input. I'll do an on key up. I'll also send it to send, but what I got to do up here is send the event. Send the event to the function. Then I got to check first if there is an event, and the key code is, I think it's 13. Then return. That'll tell me that, oh sorry, it does not equal 13. Then return. That'll make sure that it doesn't just do it every key press. Nice. Cool. What? If I change my name, new name. So now all we got to do is receive the message from, the browser down here is constantly receiving messages from the browser up here. I don't have enough room on my screen to show you the console, but what I got to do now is I need to take the, well, actually, first I need to modify this, because remember we're sending JSON. So when I send a message, what I actually need to send is JSON stringify. We'll send the message, and then the name will be. Actually, I take that back. I can just send that as is. So what I'm going to do now is just look at the contents of this message. Just to make sure that we're getting the right stuff. Okay. So the thing I was missing is that message.data, it's message.data, not message. So, all right, so we're almost there. You can see that the message is showing up twice here. So the reason that would be occurring is if it thinks that the ID is the same. So I obviously have a bug in my ID check. So it's because it did message equals ID rather than message.id equals ID. So I think we're pretty much there now. Test. Hello. Nice. So person 1, person 2. Test there, test here. So we have a real-time chat system now. This is everything we need. Everything is great. Things keep showing up on the server, and then it keeps pushing everything back out to the browsers. So remember I said that there'd be one more piece to this. There would be a bot piece. So the server, we can basically just collapse this now. We don't actually need that. So let me get another terminal here. Just a moment. Okay, so I promised some Python, and it's time to do some Python. So the last thing to create, we're good there. The last thing to create is the actual bot. So it's not super hard to do. And remember, all the bot is going to do is just to listen to messages. So we'll just get rid of these. It's fine. We're going to have the bot listen to messages. We're going to have the bot, respond to something in what is now the chat over here. So to do WebSockets in Python, you need async IO. You also need WebSockets. You can get WebSockets with pip install WebSockets. Piece of cake. Gonna need JSON, just because remember all the messages that are passed are done in JSON. So from here I got to create an async. We'll just call it message. It's going to be a function that basically every time there's a new message, it's going to come into message. Now this should really look like creating a Discord bot now, because the only thing I'm going to do different here is, with discord.py, you would say just on message, but what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to do async with WebSockets.connect, and then I'll connect to the WebSocket server as WS. And then now I have WS, which is a connection to the WebSocket server. That's the same as with Discord Pi. So now what I do is I start an infinite loop, and then I just wait on a message by using ws.receive. So what we'll do is we'll just print the message. This is actually the entire bot. We're done. That's it. So let's see if that works. Okay, so it just ended. Oh, I forgot to start it. So async io.get event loop run until complete message. I think that's it. Cool. Here we go. So now we got a bot. The bot's sitting there waiting. So we'll refresh here. Hello. So you can see the bot is listening to all the messages. This is a new message. If I go over to the other screen, you'll see that the bot also listens to that message. So that's it. We've created a bot. So as you can see now, since the bot has access to all the messages that are being exchanged on the two browsers, it can also look at messages and can do something with it. So, in my Discord, if you say hello Felix, Felix will respond with hello. So why don't we just implement that here? So since we have the message, all I really got to do now is if message equals hello Felix, then I can take the WebSocket and I can send some info to it. So, type will be bot. Because I don't really need that, but name will be Felix, and then message will be hello, and that's sort of it. So we've created a bot, not in Discord. So let me redo this. So now if I come back to my chats, hello Felix. And it didn't work. Why didn't it work? It didn't work because I don't need to look at message. I need to look at message and then, the index message. So no problem. Restart, what is now Felix. Hello Felix. Still didn't work. String indices must be integers. Alright, what's up with that? That is because message is still a string, so I need to do message json.load_s message. Alright, we're almost there, friends. Almost done. Hello Felix. Felix says hello. How cool is that? Felix also says hello over here, because remember, it's two chat rooms. So that's kind of it for the code. We'll do Brian. And then Ducky. So, hello. Ducky says hello. Ducky says hello Felix. Felix says hello. And there we are. So let's kind of recap what we've done. This is basically a web Discord bot. What I did is I rebuilt a couple key pieces of Discord. I rebuilt the chat, I rebuilt the bot, and I rebuilt the web server. But I did so in very little amounts of code. And hopefully from this you can imagine the possibilities. If you have a bot that can respond to messages, that's, imagine what else you can do. If somebody wrote something like Felix GIF, then this is where you could reach out to Giphy and pull in a GIF. And so this is a very small amount of code that reproduces some very important fundamentals of Discord or any any WebSocket server. Now keep in mind that you're not limited to one bot. This is one bot. We're running just one bot here, but there's no reason why I can't pull open another terminal. And keep in mind, I'll publish this in both Python and JavaScript after we're done here. So here's a second bot. I'm going to start this as a bot as well. So it's important to note that now there's two bots. So I'll say hello. Oops, hold on. I got to restart stuff here. Oh, I'm not actually listening to the message. My windows are getting really messy now. Okay. So there's bot 1. Here's bot 2. Now keep in mind that in Discord they're also tracking who has access to what data. Keep in mind that we're doing this would be like if it was just one server, but Discord would have some logic in there that says, okay, you're subscribing to this WebSocket feed, but we're only going to give you the chats from the Discord that the bot token relates to. So here's our two bots. Hello. You can see it pops up in both places, and that's because you can have more than one bot listening. So one bot could respond to different events, and this is kind of how we do it in Discord. There's a Python version of Felix and there's a Node version of Felix, and they both do different functionality. And the same could occur here. So I want to open it up to some questions for what I just did. So start asking me your questions, and I'm just going to recap what I did here. So let me just shut all these down. Alright, so quick recap. We create a server, and the purpose of this server is just to listen to connections on port 3434. And then on new connections, take the socket, and then for that socket, listen to messages, and for every message, just broadcast that message back to all the connected clients. And that's kind of the whole thing for that. Server is very simple. And the reason I did Python bot is because I wanted to show everybody that just because I wrote the server in Node.js doesn't mean that the bot has to be in Node.js. It doesn't mean that the front end has to be in Node.js. It doesn't have to be in anything. These can these have interoperability between each other just because it's a standard. WebSockets is a standard. So I could have wrote the server in Python and the bot in Node.js. That's why there's Discord Py. There's also Discord JS. There's Discord Java. There's Discord this, Discord that. And is it sponsored content? Nope, absolutely not. I have no sponsors. So then we got the bot side. All the bot does is it just makes a connection to the server and just says, hey, when you get a message, just let me know. So from here up, this is like the very basic part of Discord bots, is you're just subscribing to a feed. That's all a bot is. A bot is just a piece of code that subscribes to a message feed and then takes that message feed and does certain actions on that message according to whatever the person wanted to program it to do. Okay, QA. What would the host field be if you wanted to implement the server on Discord? So the host field just says what IP range can access it. So in this case, I'm saying listen on all IPs everywhere. If I just put this on 127.0.0.1, it would have caused it to only be accessible by the local host. So I needed to do this to make sure that the browser could access it. Can you comment the code out while you I don't know what that means. Let's see, how much would you have to add? How much would you have to add to get the bot to reply to the person by name? None. The only thing I'd have to do in this case, and I can do it real quick. All I'd have to do is, instead of doing hello, I could just do hello plus message name. Because remember, the person had, the name is in the message. So let me run. I closed down my bots. Let me open another one here. So to answer your question, probably 20 characters is all I'm going to have to add for that. Okay, I got a bot running now. Okay. So Brian, hello, hello Felix, hello Brian. So that's all I had to do to add that, is just put the name at the end. Yeah, speaking of Discord, everyone should join. Yes, if you're not on the Discord, please get in there. There's so much cool stuff happening. It's super active. If you want to go on Discord, it's engineerman.org/Discord. That's engineerman.org/Discord. Discord lists on the API how you have to put your bot on a certain server. You do. The thing is, when you generate a bot token on Discord, you're generating that token according to the bot, but then when you go to associate the bot with the server, you go through what's called the OAuth 2 flow. And what that does is that associates the bot with the server. And then you get a different token for that. So once you associate with a server and you plug your token in, that's how it knows what feed to grab. Obviously you can't make a bot that subscribes to everybody's content because that'd be insane. Anyone could listen to this port. What if it needs to be private? That's a good question. So eventually you're going to want to wrap security around this, and the way you would do so is in this server, on a new connection, do security stuff here. So this is where you would do the security. And if somebody connected here, you would decide, should this person be allowed access to this socket? And if they are, then let them go. Otherwise, just close their socket, socket.close. And then that'd be the end of that. So, and there are libraries that do this for you. There's socket.io, there's WS, there's Websockets, there's tons of libraries that handle this stuff better. They handle this idea of PubSub, and they handle this idea of different rooms and subscriptions to stuff. So what I've done here is just really rudimentary, basic socket stuff. But you would also want to wrap security around it. But you're absolutely right. It's a good point. Anybody could connect to that port and subscribe to this feed. That's absolutely correct. But like with Discord, for instance, you have to have a token, and that token associates you to the right feed that you want to subscribe to. Okay, stream Q&A. How easy is it to implement OAuth on either JS or Pi for this type of use case? So when you implement OAuth, it's not specific to any language. All OAuth is you requesting I always forget the actual flow. You request an authorization code from a server, from an authorization server. That server gives you a token. You can then use that token to request a different token from the OAuth token server, I think. And then that gives you another token back, which you can use to contact their API to request data about a user, for instance. And so all OAuth is just a series of HTTP calls, and you do them in the right order, and then you eventually get access to the right data. For every room, do we need to open new ports? No, absolutely not. So, again, this is a very simple example, but you could separate this up into different rooms, create a database that says, here's the people associated with that. And keep in mind that every socket has a unique socket ID, so you can track those to know who to broadcast messages to. What this does is this broadcasts messages kind of indiscriminately. It sends, it just fires the message out, and it is what it is. It's not discriminate in any way. You as the programmer would have to, bake that kind of logic in. How do you prevent message flooding? You can do that any number of ways, I suppose. One would be you could just rate limit the socket, either through logic or through you could insert like a layer between your WebSocket server and your client, like Nginx, and you could rate limit it like that. There's several ways you can do rate limiting. Is it hard to implement the WebSocket on a piece of hardware? Well, so in that case, remember, WebSockets are important really only for the web. If you don't have a browser in play, you can use WebSockets, but you might as well just use normal sockets. The purpose of WebSockets is primarily to let the browser access a server through JavaScript. What would you need to change as the usage scales up? That's a great question. So, and I have a great answer for it. As the usage scales up for WebSockets, you're going to need a way to manage all the connections, especially if certain people can only access certain rooms or certain content. So to do that, you're going to end up having to store all of your session data in you're going to have to store all of your socket data in like a Redis, and from there, you can scale that across machines and you can access it like that. So to scale it up basically requires having servers to be able to access socket data to know who to send what to. And of course you got to scale all the other pieces as well, and it's a tough thing to do. Like I would actually, this is actually a space I'd like to work in. I would like to work in a space that does tons of real-time WebSocket type work. I think that'd be very interesting. I know Discord says that they operate at such a large scale that they can't guarantee like any order of messages. They can't guarantee super real-time. They do their best, but it's not always perfect. Is the stream lagging for everybody? I'm having some huge packet drop. On this example, how would you create and differentiate between rooms? Well, you would simply create an object like room names, and then as people connect to sockets, you would stick their socket identifier in each of the rooms, and then you would have your back in here, rather than you would add like room name here. Yeah, there's some problem with the stream right now. I apologize for any lag that's occurring. It's red on my end. You would put the name of the room in socket.send, and then on the back end you could look at what room it's supposed to go to, and you could do it that way. The other thing you could do is you could make people subscribe to rooms, like slash my room, and then you could handle that on the back end too. Yeah, there's something up with the stream right now. I apologize. Oh, I think it's coming back. Yeah, there's some problems on my end. It's my bit rate is about 1/10 of what it's supposed to be. Okay, let's see. How would you prevent? All right. I think I covered everything. Are there any other questions about what I did? I'll just do a brief recap, and I think we're pretty much done at that point. So I created the server. Sorry. So I created the server, which just broadcasts messages out to everybody. I created the bot, which just listens on a WebSocket server and then just takes the message and does something with it. I then created the front end, which all it's really doing is it's connecting to us. This connects the same way as the bot, really. I mean, in a way, the browser is the same as the bot. And then I listen to whatever message is coming in, and I do something with that message. In this case, I just add it to the div. Then I have a way for people to send messages back up to the server to be rebroadcasted out to anybody else who's connected. And that's really the end of it. That's all it takes to do that. WS sub protocols at risk at not knowing what I'm talking about. I don't know what you mean by that. Can you specify one for me? Also, I think the stream's fine now. It says it's good. I'm at 11K bitrate again. I think we lost a lot of people on the stream because of that lag. That's unfortunate. All right, take a couple more questions. Got about 4 minutes left. Anyways, I will publish all this stuff to GitHub right after the stream. When to use WS versus WSS? That's a good question. You should use WSS all the time. I mean, it's just like any other traffic. If you want it to be secure, you should use WSS. The only reason I didn't today is I just didn't want to go through all that process of setting up, fake certs and whatnot, because I'm doing this all locally. But if you were doing this in production, if you were doing a socket server in production, you would want to use WSS for sure. What do you think of Go? I like it. I have a couple issues with it, particularly its naming. I'm not a big fan of its naming. I can't reason with this idea that lowercase letters in front of the function name are private and uppercase are public. I can't reason about that in my head because I think it's ridiculous. Oh, what do I think of Go for the web? I've actually, I'm big into web stuff, as anybody that knows me or has been to my Discord knows. So I'm always looking for new technologies on the web, and I don't know of that many frameworks for Go. I know there's one called BGO, which I've tried. It's just it's not super intuitive, and I don't feel like I could create things very fast. I do know that Go is. Now, I create a project called DispenserD on GitHub, which has an API. So I think Go would actually be pretty proficient at creating APIs. But that's about it. What do you think of Rust? I think Rust will eventually save everybody from themselves, when it comes to systems programming. Rust has a really intricate type system. It's not a really low learning curve. It's sort of hostile, when you use it. But they do it with good reason. They have a lot of value that they offer by having such an intricate type system and functionality that is what I would describe more complex than it needs to be. What's up, Will Wheaton? Golang is for robotics, I suppose. Can you describe the async module? So the async module is, you got to remember that Python was not originally designed for all this asynchronous kind of business. You know, Node.js was. Node.js from version 0.0.1 was designed from the ground up to be async. It was designed from the ground up to use event loop concurrency, and it was designed for exactly what I've used it for here. It's also why this is a small amount of code. And with the bot, I got to start introducing all kinds of random stuff like async functions. And remember, this is only supported as of Python 3.6, whereas async for Node.js was supported from version, beta, immediately. So the async module was created to kind of bring it up to speed with the advent of all this async type stuff, and they've done so in this way. Can you make videos on Unity, C#? Not really. I don't know C# that well, and I don't do much game design, so I can't do much of that. I will publish this code within a half hour after the stream. I'll publish it to GitHub. Just go to GitHub and go to the folder called Stream004, and it'll be there. Okay, I think we're done. We're at about 1 p.m., so I'll just say my typical thanks for everybody. Appreciate everybody coming to the stream. I had a great time. I was really excited for this one. I love this topic. Hopefully everybody learned a whole bunch of stuff here, and you can do it in Python or Node, whatever you want to do. It's totally fine. WebSockets work. It's very interesting. It's a very powerful technology, and hopefully having done this, you now kind of understand how Discord works, because I in a way redeveloped the three. In a really basic way, I redeveloped the three common parts of Discord. So, okay, lastly, again, if you're not on the Discord server, hit it up. There's tons going on. There's a huge community there. It just blows me away every day. 24/7, people are doing stuff on there. It's really awesome. If you want to go to Discord, it's engineerman.org/Discord. That's engineerman.org. I will write it here. engineerman.org/Discord. Click there and come have a great time. Also, we're almost at 100,000 subscribers, which I just mind blown. No idea. I don't even know what to do. I didn't know what to do at 1,000 subscribers. My head's going to explode at 100,000. So we're about 14 days away from that. I think definitely Engineer Man Knowledge Center is going to be fully released by then. And we're going to continue doing tons of stuff there. And yeah, it's going to be good. People are going to get smarter. People are going to help each other. It's going to be great. I'm coming up with something special. I'm coming up with a 100K special. 100K special kind of video, or we're going to do something. I want to get the fellows and the staff involved, and we'll do something nice for 100K. Okay, I think that's it. Thanks a lot again for everybody for coming in and checking out the stream, and be on the lookout for tomorrow's video. And I will see you on the stream 2 weeks from now. All right, see you later.